Amazing, we're live. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hi. Okay. Hello. Just welcome everyone to our Directors Evolution event tonight in collaboration with Callo and Minute Shorts. This is a private event, a virtual panel featuring these amazing filmmaker legends in the game, and some of them you might recognize them with the work they've done with artists such as Beyonce, Calvin Harris, Dua Lipa, Lil Wayne, Burna Boy. The list is very long, so I'm not going to try to name every artist they work on. But and the purpose of this event is more to look into their work they've won on from shooting music videos to transitioning into shooting feature films. And this is a conversation about their direct evolution and answering fundamental questions of how did they make the jump from shooting music videos to what they're doing now. And this is, like I mentioned at the beginning, is a virtual event. So I know some of our guests are joining us in LA, New York, London, and a few other places, Miami. And for those who are new, don't know what Minute Shorts is. So it's a platform that dedicates to incredible short films from next generation of filmmakers. And I'm going to lead my co-host Fassa to explain what Callo is.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining in to us live. It's been such an incredible kind of time putting this event together because it is truly an event that's going to talk about different journeys for each director. Everyone is different. So Callo is a filmmaking platform that really goes ahead and connects you with the right people so that you can go ahead and develop your project sooner across film, television, and audio. And so I'm the founder and the CEO of Callo, and we're just bringing it live to the world right now. And so this is a very exciting moment for us. And just to do some kind of housekeeping before we get started, this event is going to be an hour long. And so we're going to have 45 minutes of just like a nice conversation between the five of us. And we're really going to get deep into each of these panelists' journey. And then we're going to leave the last 15 minutes for a Q&A with the audience. And so I will definitely say you can go ahead and put in your questions throughout. And then Janvier and I are going to go ahead and hopefully integrate them into the conversation. So yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, okay, cool, amazing. So I just realized I didn't even introduce myself. So I'm Janvier Wete, so I'm the founder of Minute Shorts. Just to kick it off, I think it would be quite good to get introduction from each of our guests and, your name, like I said, where you're calling from, and maybe to mention one memorable or stand-up work that you want to mention that people might recognize or you're really proud of. So we can start off with Emil, because you're like top right on my screen.
Hey there, Emil Nava here, coming at you from London. Memorable moments. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about like when I first started recently and that we had to shoot on film. Everyone's talking about AI at the moment and how it's going to kind of change our industry. And I have to like remind everyone that we used to have to like develop the film. So my first music video we shot on like 4 rolls of 16mm film, which I had to pay £500 for, and we could only shoot 45 minutes. When now we can shoot endless amounts. So that was my memorable.
Amazing.
I love that.
Philip, do you want to jump in?
Sure. My name is Philip Humans. I'm from New Orleans. I'm calling in from LA. And I'd say, so I got here after I made my first feature. I've been making shorts and music videos all the while developing the longer form stuff. And I'd say my most memorable experience recently, I mean, there's quite a few, but I'd say my most recent video I just dropped with John Batiste and Lil Wayne called Uneasy. I know that the music video turnaround is always pretty quick, and it's the timeline is always really, really accelerated. And I think in this case, I heard about the song on Friday and we were shooting on Wednesday.
Wow.
Damn.
It's like, but it was beautiful. Like the experience was sick. Like I definitely love the quick turnaround. Like that's one of the things I'm sure I'll talk about and mention again later.
There's actually part of the questions we have here. So before we crack on that, Meji, do you want to give us a little bit of intro?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Meji Alabi. I'm a director. I'm Nigerian, but I'm based in London as well. But we're traveling all over all the time. I guess my memorable experience would be for a project, maybe Ginger, is a video with a Wizkid and Burna Boy, and for me that was kind of like a great culmination of everything that I'm about and what we do. Those are two great artists who are really pushing the culture to the world, and I'm also part of that through the visuals. So just all of us coming together and making that visual together was a special moment for me and for Nigeria and Africa and the diaspora.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for giving those intros. And I guess I'll go back to you, Emil. I mean, this is such a fun panel to be on because, like we said earlier before we came into the conversation, you have worked on so many projects, so many music videos that are just like phenomenal to culture and to like how we look at music videos and why it's so important. Can you talk a little bit about how you got into the space and how it all happened?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this recently. I think I've been saying I feel like I'm having like a positive midlife crisis, where I'm just analyzing like everything that's gone on in my career, and like thinking about what's next and stuff. But I guess the thing that I've been realizing is that like I've made like about 150 music videos, I think, or 100, something like that. And, and I think they've had like 25 billion views across YouTube, but 80% of them I would say are like awful and like and I never reference or look at, and honestly, I don't really like the other 20% either. I find it very hard to like anything because I feel like, I don't know if everyone agrees, but they just go through so many changes that you're like, what even is this? And like, it starts in your head. And then before you know it, 1,000 decisions later, it's kind of not the same. But yeah, I guess I just been, it's been a long journey, basically. I kind of never went to film school or anything. I started making tea and coffee when I was 17 on a music video. And I grew up on music videos. I made tea and coffee, then I did video assist, like recording the playback. And then I became a second AD and a first AD and started making music videos when about 19, and I've made just video after video after video. So I kind of learned, I guess, like in it, which I think within that comes a lot of mistakes, and then hopefully a couple of bangers come out.
Can I just jump in? So I mean, how many videos did you say? Is it 150? You said.
I think it's about that. Yeah.
So like after a while, is there any standout video that you've done out of that 150? You can say, okay, cool. At least when I still remember it, like, because after a while, it becomes you just knocking this video down. You know what I mean?
I mean, when I did the one with Rihanna and Calvin Harris, like I've always wanted to work with Rihanna, and like she is just fucking out of control, amazing. And there's some artists that when they perform, you're just like, fuck, they're like superstars. So she was one of those, and that video was like so stressful, and it was one of them ideas where I was like, because we shot, it was really early when there was 360 cameras, but we shot on 360 cameras, and then we projected it back onto a cube, like a silk cube.
Yeah.
So there was all these questions about would it even work, and like so it was just a really stressful, like, is it gonna work thing? And then like it worked, which is always a joy. So yeah, and then also the stuff I did with Ed Sheeran, I did his like first video, like no, his first, he made one video, then he got signed, so it was like his second video, but then did like, I don't know, 10 or 12 of him back to back, and it was amazing fun.
Yeah, that's great. And also, like, I mean, I know Philip, you mentioned this at the beginning, just the time frame you have to make a video. And I mean, this is actually one of the questions I was actually going to ask Meji, because I know you currently like shooting loads of music videos. So like, so in regards to like, what is the time frame? Because Philip, you mentioned you have a song dropped on Friday, you're shooting on Sunday, and then the video has to come out like, I don't know, in a few days. What's the usual timeline for you guys? I mean, I'll start with Meji and I'll go to Philip, like shooting a music video.
I mean, the timeline varies, but more often than not, it just depends on where the video comes from as well. Sometimes, you get it from the labels, and they can also be quite, quite, a quick turnaround. But other times, especially me, how I came up, I kind of work with a lot of artists directly, and they don't have that same time management system or whatever. They, especially in Afrobeats and Nigerian artists, they're kind of more like, yo, man, I need, for example, I was moaning about this earlier today, like, last week I had or about 2 weeks, maybe 10 days ago, I had a video that, they hit us on Friday and they want to shoot on Tuesday, and the artist is flying out on Wednesday. And it was a dope artist, and I'm thinking like, this isn't ideal. Nobody's open on the weekend. It's hard to book stuff. So it really didn't give you much time. But yeah, we made it work, and, we shot it, and, hopefully,
you shot it in a day.
Oh.
You shot it in a day.
We shot it on Tuesday.
Okay, damn.
But everything got confirmed on Friday, and like we still had to do all the production over the weekend. Do you know what I mean? So it was like,
question in regards to that. So, for example, if someone comes to you on Friday, do you already have like a day's banked already, or do you have to spend like Saturday, Sunday to come up with an idea, or do you just have a book of ideas that's already like you just kind of like?
I mean, I think most of them are like just custom built to the song. You just start listening to the song, and then you freestyle out your idea. Perhaps you had something that you wanted to do, but more often than not, I don't have like a bank of ideas, because a lot of them you have to tailor it to the artist. You know what I mean? And I think I just make it up and figure it out.
And I think on that, they probably have so many ideas on their own, right? Like they're coming to the table saying like, I have this vision. And so it's like, how can you best execute that? And then also bring your own ideas to the table too.
Yeah, sometimes they do. Other times, it's all on you, which is, it's often better that way, because then, your ideas aren't getting diluted, like what Emil was saying, what I mean? And honestly, like, I hardly watch any of the videos back as well, because there's always something that can kind of pain you, like, man, I would have, what I mean? But sometimes you do get the banger, and things fall into place, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
Philip, do you want to join it? Because I feel like you got something.
I was about to make that point, just about like, I think the reason like my turnaround wasn't as fast as yours, but I guess from a Friday to Wednesday, I got one extra day, which I know in the scope of like fast turnaround makes a huge difference, right?
Huge difference for sure.
Comfortability. But I think just a testament to what you're saying, like with that John video, like, and with really every video, like there's the turnaround doesn't, like, I think from a production standpoint, a lot of the stress in a way comes with how like your production team is going to enact the vision that you're laying out. But for me, one, like with John and Smee, and like, it feels like they're basically saying, here's the song, where does your mind take you with it? Yeah. And there's something super like freeing about that. And there's I feel like the idea and the concept itself is not the stressful part at all. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I pretty much, and I'm sure y'all are the same, you like, for the most part, you listen to a song, vibe to it, and like kind of like watch the movie playing in your head, right? And then kind of basically execute that. And I feel like the turnaround in this case, like I said, it doesn't feel as stressful at all when you feel like, you have creative freedom, or you feel like you're in a space where like the artist really trusts you to like.
Exactly. Yeah. So, because other times when it's the opposite of that, or like say you do have creative freedom, or they say, oh yeah, just come up with something, and then they start like questioning, and then this and that, it kind of puts you on the back foot, and it slows things down, and then but at the end of the day, it's a collaborative process, and just collaborate as best as you can.
I guess as a follow-up to everyone here on that bit, right? Because I think some music videos, they have so much story behind it, right? And it's like there is development that goes in it. I think about specifically with you, Philip, like with Beautiful Life. I mean, first of all, that music video is not only just beautiful, but it has such a deep meaning. And the fact that, again, you want to Campri for it. So obviously a lot of people felt that too. But can you talk a little bit more about that process? Because that is a story.
Well, I think with So I try to take that opportunity with any video that I have. Like my inclination is always basically to create a short film, a silent film, really, and have the music be the score driving it.
Mhm.
And with a piece like Beautiful Life, actually it's interesting. Like my initial idea was similar to the one that I ended up doing, but it was like it was a similar thing of like when you're close to death, your body releases bits of DMT, and then you start to like basically experience some flashes of your life. And the mechanism of it was different, but I knew that I wanted to tell that story, and I felt like the song was so cinematic, and it just took me in such an extreme, intense place that that's where my mind went, really, in thinking about, you know, DMT and how our body releases it before we're about to die, and then the execution of it is interesting too, because I think I definitely wanted to shoot that. I wanted that to feel like it really was a short film that you could, you know, pull out and that be how it's viewed. And the flashbacks, to say, like the moments where they're having their life flash before their eyes, like there's no visual distinction between that and the rest of the video, in terms of like there's no like vignette on those moments or like special filter on it. It all feels like it's kind of happening in the same space, in the same world. And that to me is more of like a hallmark of like, you know, narrative work, or like something that feels slightly less stylized in some of the moments where you would expect it to, but more raw and grounded in a way that I think like really adds a oomph to the story. I don't know how to say it, you know.
Yeah.
We got you.
Like yeah, you know what I mean, like
it's like this the narrative bit of it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Janvier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, amazing. Just to bring Emil in, I'm still shocked that you shot 150 videos.
Yeah, that's blowing my mind.
So I'm trying to get my head.
A couple of narratives in there.
Yeah,
the line.
So I'm trying to get my head around it. So like after a while, do you so when artists come to you, I mean, is it the same process of that you go through, or is it, you know, obviously after a while people know you, like if I'm coming to Emil, this is what we're gonna get, or do you still keep that same process, or does it change? Does it still varies after shooting 150 videos?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing I'll say about the quick turnarounds is I always like them because they feel like the job's on. You know, I think that some of the most brutal parts of this game is like the pitching, you know, and pitching against like a ton of people, and everyone's got the same brief, and we're all kind of just shooting in the dark and hoping we land it. So I think that like I've always really enjoyed them ones that are like it's on, just like we need the idea. But in terms of like the way I come up with ideas, I guess, varies a lot. You know, sometimes it's on the song, sometimes it's on like where the artist is in their career. I'm always trying to kind of think objectively as well. Like I always want to try and make something that's for myself, but also that's for the artist, you know, and like try and imagine what they want with their video, as well as like what I'm going through. And I guess from doing all those videos, I've been in so many different places, you know, in my life. And I guess, you know, that does happen, right? I'm sure all of you experience this, is like, you know, life imitates art in that non-cheesy way, but it does, you know, a bit. So I guess different points in my life, I've been excited about different things and been going through different journeys. And then when they can kind of collide with an artist like Meji, what you were saying, you know, with Burna Boy and that, it's like you collided there, where like what you were trying to say as director, like they were trying to say as artists, and you just went like bang, you know, which I feel that, you know, you all know this, but I feel like about 100 things have to go right for an amazing video to be born. You know, the song, everything has to like, so it is this thing of like, how will you create that perfect storm? And you can do everything right and it's still not work. And you can do everything wrong and suddenly it's like, right, you know, it's kind of, I always joke, it's like creating a magic trick, you know, kind of, it will work.
Yeah.
I think on that
100%.
bit too, as a follow-up, and we have some questions here coming in, but how do you look at your creative team and how you build your creative team when there is so much turnover and it's going so fast? Do you usually work with the same team? Are you finding new people? Are you bringing new people into the creative process? For you, Emil, sorry.
Oh, for me, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think that regular collaborators are amazing. Like, you know, I see, you know, we all can work with kind of people a lot, and I think that's great. I think that for me, sometimes I'm a little more tailored to what I'm trying to achieve with the idea. Maybe like not like, oh well, we're shooting by an ocean, so we have to have someone who's shot an ocean before, but you know, if we're shooting something that's really narrative, like building a team that is more narrative focused, or if it's like a big pop video, it's like, okay, we want the kind of big pop guns. But I do also think that having a shorthand with your team is like invaluable. You know, when you say like, oh, it's a window, and they all kind of know what the window would be like, you know, and that's what I feel as well working with artists. You know, when you can get like with Calvin, for instance, I think we just did our like 20-second video together. So I always joke that it's like he'll say anything to me and I'll know what his taste is for like that thing. So I think shorthand is like key in these teams.
And I know you've already said this, but for everyone who's coming in now, Calvin Harris, we're talking about. Yeah, Calvin Harris.
Okay, cool. Should we ask? I mean, should we move on to the music video, to the transition now in terms of like the development of feature? I think one question I have regard to Meji. I mean, in I've seen your work, there's a clear, clear reference in terms of Nigeria and African kind of symbolic and images. And then, so regard to like your future work or the work you're working on at the moment in terms of features, there's something that we should expect more of that, or what's your kind of vision going forward?
I mean, for myself, I enjoy telling stories in general. I started out in London, but I've naturally gravitated back to Nigeria and working with I guess within my culture as well. But I also often work in America and the UK and just generally everywhere. But for the stories that I'm initially going to start telling, I think I'm quite excited about what we're doing over there in Nigeria, from the continent in Africa. And I think a lot of my stories, the first few that I've planned anyway, actually do originate from there. And I also think these are stories that the world hasn't really got a grasp of yet and fully understand. And it's just an exciting time, an exciting opportunity, and I'm blessed to be at the forefront of that as well.
Amazing. And also in terms of just your approach to tackling your first feature, is that the same approach or the same process versus when you're shooting a music video? Is that the same kind of habit? Also timeline as well, because I know you talked about some of your music videos taking you, I don't know, 3 days to shoot. Obviously that's not the same with a feature. Like I said, give us a bit of a timeline, roughly how long it's taken to shoot your first feature, and also the process of it. Just a rough idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think mine was like really unique how it all happened and how it came together. So I don't know if it's going to be like the same as everybody else's, because a lot of people, they go through development and they work with, this company and this, and they asking for funding, because the hardest part to find, and you'll see it from, top directors, all the time, is like somebody who's going to pay for the film. Like, where's the money going to come from? Who's funding it? And then that's before you get to production and the whole thing about getting it greenlit and all that. But my situation was unique, as in we myself and my company and the company of the artist, because an artist is actually the so I guess it's how music and film came together. An artist is the lead actress within the film, and her she also or her side also contributed. So we came together as production companies, put the funds together, and went to shoot a movie. Do you know what I mean? So it was totally different than going out, because I mean, I think I alluded to this earlier, is that like, which is I guess kind of surprising. Obviously it's great to be here with Emil and Philip, and these guys are absolutely incredible, and I like to think of myself as pretty good as well. And in this music, it doesn't matter how many music videos you do or how many commercials you do. You would think that like, okay, I'm high, or I'm getting big in the game, or I've done this with these great artists. Hey, have a look at my scripts. People don't care. Like they'll oh yeah, cool, and you might not even hear back. And that's kind of what I was going through. It was like, yeah, we have these scripts, we have these stories, but it's it's not like nobody's saying like, oh shit, man, those videos you did, those were dope. Like, here's money, go shoot your film now. It's like, it's not like they didn't really. I felt like they didn't even rate. Like they were just like, all right, cool, And not that the script wasn't good, because I think the script was amazing, but I just think that they just like to see that, okay, have you done these shorts before? Has it won any awards? Has it gone on this circuit? For them to like jump at you and like throw the funds at you to make your film. So really, we went out and we made it ourselves. We found distribution ourselves, and hopefully, and when it does what it needs to do, we'll move from there. Do you know what I mean? And go ahead and tell more stories, because we've proven the concept. And just like with music videos, I guess you got to do a few before you get the calls from the big guys. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of different. It's kind of different.
I'm assuming you're going to keep the leading actress secret for now, so you're not going to mention who it is.
No, I mean, it's out there. It's Tiwa Savage. It's out there. It's an artist who I collaborate a lot with. So I'm just glad that she was able to trust me, and and I was able to trust her in sense of her acting ability, and everything came together, and it was a beautiful and perfect storm, and I'm very excited about that.
Super exciting. Yeah. I feel like just on that bit too, it kind of almost sounds like what you're saying too, Meji, is like, did music videos, in having this incredible portfolio, did it actually help you in the feature world? Do you think that it actually helped you be able to say, yes, trust me with this money, trust me with this? Do you think that it helped you, or are you saying no, maybe not so much?
I mean, the other guys can kind of answer that, but for me, I felt that it didn't actually help that much. What it helped with was experience. Like music videos, again, like Emil said, he shot 150 videos. Maybe I've shot like 100 or something, but like that time on set is invaluable. You know how to operate under pressure. You've been in the hot seats with huge artists, who don't have time for bullshit. So it helped in other ways.
Okay.
But like I said, we ended up, funding it ourselves, with people that we found. It wasn't external people saying like, yeah, you did great music videos, so here's money for your film. No, it wasn't that. And I don't think it's that easy.
Yeah.
Maybe the other guys had a different experience.
Yeah. I mean, Philip, for you, you started off in the feature world, right? Like with Burning Cane, and now you're coming into the music video world. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how you feel?
Yeah, so I feel like music videos have been super helpful. I think in, like, I'll say for a few examples. One, in being able to like still whittle the knife and go out there and keep making things, given how long development can take.
Yeah.
And then also, I think in part, like in step with development, like one thing that I'm really proud of with the music videos that I've shot is that when I look back at my portfolio, I feel like I've kind of shot like a kaleidoscope of different scenarios, different people, different things that, to be honest with you, like when I'm like, so in the materials, when you're pitching a feature or when you're getting a project, even if the project is already there, like I have like basically the things that I've shot in music videos when I'm cutting a reel for a movie that I'm doing, right? And I have to show somebody this reel, right, to give them a feel of what it is. Like I'm digging into a big bag of my own, footage. Of course, when you're cutting a reel, you're sourcing clips, you're pulling things, yada yada. But it feels like, like everything I'm showing you isn't from X, Y, and Z. A lot of this shit is mine. You know what I mean? And like that, the portfolio building is something that I'm super proud of. I think in terms of like how it leads into the next feature for like everybody, I can't say, but for myself, I can say that one, having shot a lot of other things, like if I had only shot Burning Cane up to the point that I'm about to shoot my next one, then it would have been, I don't know. I also would have felt like maybe a little bit out of practice too. Like that was a long time ago, you know? And I need to, yeah, I'm grateful for the music video space, really in earnest, because I think it's, yeah, it's provided me the opportunity to keep making things, you know, also, and, you know, I'll say this too. It reminds me in a lot of ways of making Burning Cane, because Burning Cane, it was so quick. We were shooting so many scenes in a day, and the intensity, you know, the emotions, and making sure you have to keep a cool head, and, you know, like I think the sort of like lessons from making a really, really scrappy, super indie first feature, to then getting into music videos, like it just feels like, I don't know. I think getting into my next one is going to be like Lanyard. It's going to be like easy as pie, because I think you're going to have more time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2 takes, getting limited to 2 takes, 3 takes. Well, I mean, I'm not even going to get into takes, because that's a whole different discussion. But I don't know, just the on set, having to move so quickly. Like, I know that in this next one, like it's gonna almost feel, I'm sure, a little bit uncanny, like to feel like, wait, we still got time.
Yeah.
That shot, and I'm sure there's gonna be a part of it where I'm feeling like we're not gonna have any time in the world. But I think in large part, like, yeah, I think music videos put you through the fire creatively. It tests your will in a lot of different ways. And I feel like, yeah, stepping into my next feature, I think will be pretty.
That's a very interesting point of view. Yeah. That's a very interesting point of view. Just I mean, specifically Burning Cane, you also, like, you had so few resources, and and you were also incredibly young too. So you were like, let's get this done. And so it probably just changes with more resources you have. And then, of course, as we're all human beings, we want more resources to make things the way that we envision in our head. Emil, do you feel like that happened with snorkeling? Like, how was your experience with snorkeling coming from the music video world?
Yeah, I think, you know, what Meiji was saying about, like, I think for me, the music videos got me in the room, but they definitely didn't get me the film, you know. I think the film, I'm trying to think how to articulate like my journey with the film, because it has been so hard. Like, you know, they tell you like getting the money's hard. They tell you finding the project's hard, finding it's hard, then getting the money's hard, then making it's hard, then getting it distributed hard. Then, like, I literally just had an email right before this trying to figure out the music now. Like, we finally like done it, and you'd think like getting the music anyway. So it's a serious process, and it's definitely been hard, you know. And I think that you do feel like you're starting again, you know. You can be at kind of, I think, any point. Well, for me anyway, it felt like starting again. Like, I felt like I'd done all these things, and now it's like, okay, now it's this new challenge. But
can you expand on some of the points that you feel like, I know that you just went through that kind of that timeline, but what do you feel like was maybe the top 2 challenges that you, again, that could have been make it or break it of your film? So that's number 1, but also 2, if you were to go back, what do you think you would have learned to do something differently to make it easier for yourself?
I think the kind of broad answer, I guess, a bit is that I feel like back in the heyday, directors were given such like artistic, like, I don't know, it feels like making movies back in the day were much more of an artistic expression. When I think that nowadays it's changed a lot, and you'll see, I don't know, I personally see less like trailblazing filmmakers come out. Like, you know, there's not these like filmmakers coming out where in one film you're like, well, I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a great example. Like, that should be happening like all the time, I feel. Where like directors are getting to really kind of showcase who they are and what they can do and be trusted. Because, you know, I think there is a stigma of like, oh, a music video director can't go and make a film. And actually, if you look back at the greats of of cinema, you know, like they've all come from videos.
PTA, yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson,
yeah.
Spike Jones. There's like a whole
All of them, Fincher, Francis Lawrence, like literally kind of all the ones I look up to anyway.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my questions, because I think I've got friends that shot that, you know, that done both features and music videos. Or they said one of the biggest challenges they have is, you know, the perception people have of them when they start making music, when they start doing features. Is that if you're a music video director, you're probably not good at doing chemistry on the screen and doing stuff like that, you know, dialogue and stuff. And do you guys still have that perception thrown at you if you're coming from a music video shooting features? Because feature requires more narrative, more chemistry on the screen, but less of a kind of like a music video flashiness. Do you still have that perception thrown at you, or is that different?
I mean,
any of you guys can jump in.
Oh, you got it, me. I'll say it after you.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, yeah, I get that all the time. You know, I get that all the time. Like, oh, can you tell a story with dialogue? Which I kind of always find mad, because like when we were first kind of telling stories, you know, like the original cinema, like didn't have dialogue. It didn't even have edits, you know? So the idea that like now we're saying this is how you tell a story, obviously you want to use dialogue, but I'm just saying that, yeah, for sure, like short form can't turn into long form, non-dialogue can't turn into dialogue. And I think that all comes through like, you know, this lack of trust and fear. Which I do also understand, because there has been a lot of people who have spent a lot of money on films that really haven't worked. So I can totally understand the fear as well. I can really understand both sides, but I guess I just feel like, where are we going to a place that is just kind of more fearful and more, you know, sterile?
My question today is more of like, how do you, for example, I'm assuming when you're on the table trying to convince people from shooting music video to shooting feature, you know, there's always this kind of thing, but how do you convince them, like, you know what, I can do this? I know it's maybe slightly different formatting in terms of like the dialogue and stuff, but how do you convince your peers, or how do you convince people you're working on a music video to start working with you on a feature, because you can get it right?
I just want to just pop in there real quick and say that I feel like any like snooty attitude I think that people have in comparing feature filmmakers and quote unquote music video directors, you know, whatever that is, I think is just, I mean, it's unfounded, you know, like we said, there are a ton of examples of like incredible directors that started in music videos. And I knew after my first feature and coming into
This is about to happen.
Yeah, this is about.
That's about to. Okay,
He's back.
Yeah, go ahead, Philip.
I was gonna say that you can't care about the, like, to be honest with you, like if your movie's gonna get made, if someone wants to make the movie, then your work speaks to them or it kind of doesn't. I feel like also with music videos, a lot of the time you're getting like real performances out of completely like straight up non-actors, people who are like not in any way, they're not craft actors, they've never really gotten in front of a camera before. And I think if anything, again, like I'm saying, again, I'm coming from features coming into music videos, and just having music videos, I think for me, even as I make more long form pieces, I always see as like a part of my work. Like as I keep making stuff, I'm always gonna want to make videos too if I like the song, because I like making things. You know what I mean? I'm less
100%.
I'm just not in my head about like what someone's gonna think about, like, oh, you're doing a music video. Oh, it's this, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the work is the work. And if it's good, it's good. And like good shit talks and bullshit walks. And I feel like for every director that, like, in no way, I think you guys like Emil and Meji are talking like really like your experiences, I think have informed so much of like your experiences in getting into your first feature. But I do think that like people should definitely be shooting music videos, should be making things, should be like, I don't know. I just don't think that there's any space for, you know, the nose in the sky when it comes
you know, I just feel like what we do, it spans across, I guess, music videos to film to documentary to commercial. And, I'm lucky enough that I've been able to kind of traverse all of them and, find relative success and, really enjoy it. And, if I feel like a director, when we speak about Scorsese and Ridley Scott and all these guys, they're in their 80s, and they're still enjoying it because of, what Philip said. I guess they love to create things, what I mean? They love to still create. And I mean, I speak for myself, but I can assume that, all of us want to be doing this until, we get we get old, because it's a beautiful job. You get to make dope stuff, and you get to bring ideas to life. And so, yeah, I think when it comes to music videos, just being that gateway, it is an incredible gateway. It depends on how you use it. A lot of people, and again, what Philip was saying about using music videos to help you tell your narrative stories, perhaps, and then you're in the training ground. You're training yourself to. So when that time does come, when you do need to tell stories, whether you want to throw some dialogue into your music video, say, hey, yeah, I can do dialogue, and this and that, even though people, I think, yeah, I don't like that whole snooty attitude, as what you're saying. It really, because, we're creators, we've been doing this, and I feel like, everybody should just be given that shot, but especially when you've done quite a lot of work. But again, nothing's ever given free, nothing's handed to one, and you gotta hustle. This industry is really, there's no blueprint. There's really no blueprint. It's a hustling thing, and kind of finding your way, making your way, and earning your way as well, creatively.
I was going to also mention, it's like for everyone that's joining us, to leave your questions on the comments. We'll be picking them up on the next few minutes.
Yeah. And I think, Meji, you just brought up a really good point of like music videos can be a training ground. Everyone's trying to break in somehow. So it's like, which medium do you want to go to try to do that? I think one thing that this is a beautiful panel of, mostly men of color, right? And like, that's beautiful because you just don't see that, like really truly, especially on the feature film side, you don't see that. But I think one thing that I would also probably mention is that there's so few women on the music video side, and even fewer on the feature film side. What do you think the industry could probably be doing differently to really open up the aperture and bring more women to be breaking into the music video space, but even more so leaning into the feature film side? And I think I'll bring this question over to you, Emil, because I know you have an incredible, roster that you manage as well. And you have awesome music video directors that are female.
Yeah, I really just believe that we need new voices, like we need as many new voices within this industry as possible. And it's been like this for a long, long time. Now, I've been in this since I was like 17. I don't want to put an age on myself, but that's a long time. And I think that like new voices and new perspectives is what is so key to this industry. So yeah, I think it's like something that we should all be conscious of, like at every level, and every person involved in the industry needs to be thinking about this, and how do we bring, because also some of the things I see is like a lot of the opportunities maybe are going to like the same voices, right? Like sometimes they'll be like looking for a Mexican director, and I'll be like, yeah, like give it to another Mexican director. Like like don't put me in the ring as like, well, he's the Mexican director. But it's like, if they really want to open up the playing field to like to everyone, then let's like really open it up, and not just kind of give it to the one big female director or the one big Mexican director. Let's like actually, I think there needs to be more from the ground up, because I think right now what I see is like there is a want to try and kind of make everyone working more, but I think we need to be getting the doors open from the very bottom, because I think it's a very closed industry. It has been for years.
100% agree. Also look at on that kind of same kind of sphere questions. I think this is actually, we didn't write this question down, but in terms of new technology now, kind of like the rise of, let's say, I don't know, TikTok, all these. We mentioned AI at the beginning and stuff. Specifically, I mean, to you, Emil, because I know you said you worked in this many music videos as well as Meji. Do you think those new technologies affecting the way you work completely, or do you think? I mean, how does it work? Do you still have the same approach when you're making work, or do you step back and analyze? This is what the industry is going technically, and I need to change my way of working.
I mean, I can talk for a long time on this, so I'll try and keep it short. But I think that our whole industry is just going to get completely redefined in the next few years. And it's just, we've seen it with TikTok. Like, TikTok has almost obliterated music videos, dare I say.
It's messed us up.
It's the AI thing, the speed at this tech, what is a post house in 10 years? What is an edit house in 10 years? What is a director in 10 years? These are questions that I think about all the time because, Meji, you referenced 5Ds, right? And I remember when the 5D came out, all my friends were going to me, you're going to be out of a business because everyone's going to make music videos now. And it was yeah, listen, there's truth to that. But again, that did change our industry, right? And it was amazing for our industry. It gave so many young filmmakers an opportunity to step into the arena with me when I was at I had the budgets and the access. Now these kids, they're shooting stuff on their phones on TikTok that looks equally as good as what we're all doing, and the techniques they're using. So yeah, it's a mad time. It's a mad time.
mad time, yeah.
But it's a great time as well. It's a great with great what is it with great change? I think it's going to make our industry needs it. I think that one kid is going to make a feature film completely on his own, and then it's going to be all right, here we go. Now it's with no budget, and he's good, and then it's I don't know.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing innovation. When it first starts, everyone gets really oh my god, scared. Then after you're oh shit, and obviously innovation allows, it kind of almost pushes you to a new level, to another level you've never been to. So so.
I mean, I think you also just have to kind of, believe in yourself and, know what you're doing, because at the end of the day, a good story is a good story. And, if we're moving into features, the one reason, obviously, there was a point, where every other music video you'd seen come out, or, for a big artist, it was Emil doing it, you know what I mean? And he's our OG. He's our OG in the room, you know what I mean? but that's and then, obviously 5Ds and all that came out. People came up and, other people got opportunities, and, people like myself, were given a chance. But what I'm saying is Emil's still here, and that speaks to his talent and his ability to tell stories, through this music video form or through any medium that he decides to do. So whether, TikTok and all that, it's kind of crushing the industry because people realize that, I'd rather pay 10 influencers on TikTok than spend that money on a music video. And, it's kind of taken away from that. But, I think as long as, you have that within you, that talent and that skill, then, that, I guess, urge to tell these stories or whatever, and, you're giving yourself or finding the right opportunities, then, you should be all right. Should be able to roll with the punches. You know what I mean? So I think you gotta also just have that inner strength.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great segue to some of the questions that are rolling into the chat. And let's kind of go a little bit to just kind of that creative thought, right? As filmmakers, you do have creative independence, and it's really about how you guys level up with that. But what happens when the budget comes into play? How does that kind of I guess, influence how far you guys go? So the question is, how does your creative thought balance with the budget restraints and the short amounts on time? So I guess that's in the music video world, or maybe in the feature film space. Thank you, Aro. We'll start with you, Philip.
I'd say when it comes to budget, I feel like those conversations really start to, I guess, come into play when you get into conversations with your producers about execution, and that may be, I think, in the concept of something, I'm not thinking about budgetary constraints as much explicitly, but I'm sure like even on a subconscious level, I'm thinking like I'm not going to do a massive explosion or live explosion, you know what I mean, with something if the budget isn't high. But to be real, I think the execution, like filmmaking in a lot of ways, especially when it's scrappy and independent, is about adapting and like being able to adapt in the moment and be like, okay, we can't do this. All right, bet. So maybe we can try this. Maybe we could try that.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's kind of the name of the game. And with budgetary constraints, that's also like a part of the, you know, what a music video that kind of comes in, not with every video, but in a lot of ways, those kind of constraints are kind of come built in.
Yeah.
But I think it all just comes back to you preserving your vision and thinking about what is going to be the dopest way to achieve the feeling that you want to achieve, despite everything that you've had to change, everything that you've had to adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if you have a dance number, like where they're like dancing in a room, right?
Yeah.
And you've like cut everything you could, and you only have budget for 10 dancers, but in your mind, you thought like it would be like 16, and then they would break into groups of 8, yada, yada. It's like just being willing to adapt, again, is the name of the game. And then making sure that whatever decision that you're adapting to and whatever choice you're making is in service of the vision that you had, right? Like, even if it might not be, like, say, for example, if I wrote in a treatment that a character, we start in, like, they break out of a window and they jump out of the window and they're running away from, like, a really big brick red house, right? Where it's, like, a really bright red thing or something, I don't know. But, like, in the execution of it, if there are no bright red houses, or if there are, you know, if the house that you find isn't brick or the one that fits the other parts of the schedule aren't brick, maybe you pick this dope craftsman that still has some character, but isn't exactly what you thought initially.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think to the earlier point too, it's like, it's not your job as a filmmaker, as a creative. Like, I mean, coming from Sony Pictures and being exec there and being able to read every single script and basically tell the producers, no, this can't work because we only have X amount of dollars. Like, that's the job of the producer, and that's the job of the studio. And then that's where the conversation comes, right? But like, as a studio reading a project from a creative, we want them to be as imaginative as possible.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like, it's the job of like that bit. So, I mean, I think that's really, really important. Janvier, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we need to, I'm going to pick a random one. Okay, let's go with, okay, I'm going to go with this. Any tools that you love for screenwriting? Like, is any tools you guys want to give it out to people?
I'd say note carding, using these like sticky notes and like outlining and having I guess a visual map of the story. I know when I was editing Burning Cane, I remember I went into like, there's this filmmaker that one of my good friends, filmmaker that I really love, this dude named Ben Zeitlin. He was cutting his second feature down in New Orleans. And this is while I was still cutting Burning Cane. And I went into their editing session and they had all these screen grabs, basically of every scene tacked up on the wall. And I saw them like literally like, they put a still of one scene. So say if the scene had like kids running down a hill, right? There would be one still where you see a wide shot of the kids down the hill, one frame from the scene to represent that scene. Tiles, basically, these note cards printed out. And so I copied that. And then I took stills of every frame in my movie, put it on the wall. And like, it was crazy the kind of conversations you can have in the edit and even in writing, right? Just from being able to physically move a piece here, it's crazy. Just like people say that there's a big difference in like when you're reading something on a screen as opposed to when you have it in your hand. It just feels like more actionable.
Yeah.
And I think with screenwriting, you know, I'm a big proponent of outlining for sure, but also just the sticky notes, the note
The
cards.
physical, yeah, the physical one, yeah. Emil, what about you? You guys, do you guys have any different approach to that? Or?
How to Write a Movie in 21 Days. It's a great book.
Okay.
It is actually a great book, and I've written actually 2 films with that book, and I do think whatever the outcome, I don't even know if I'll make those movies, but it is an interesting method if you're a procrastinator to actually like, it guides you through the whole process, and by the end of the book, you've written the film. Whether the film is good or not is down to you, but it's a good thing, I think, for people who find it hard to stay in, you know, on the floor.
On the floor, yeah. The next question is getting presented by an agency crucial for finding work? What's your thought, Meji?
Again, I actually get a lot of my work direct, but it's not, it doesn't hurt, you know, it doesn't hurt. Listen, a lot of my work comes to me directly, but I am represented by, you know, some agencies in the US and in the UK, production companies more so. But I feel that,
on the feature side and on the music video?
No. So I don't have any feature, or I don't have any management. I'm only repped for commercials and music videos by Black Dog and RSA in the UK and the US. But I also have my own production company, which is called JM Films. And a lot of the work that I do mostly comes through there. But the commercial work that I do comes through RSA, and, you know, we do some ourselves. So it just depends on what work you're looking for, I guess. You know, I haven't. So I think it helps. I think you know, you should try and find as many avenues for, you know, people to make yourself available for work, and, you know, therefore you can pick and choose and this and that. But I feel like one should just focus on creating, and as much as possible, so you can. And then when you want, you know, to, you know, partner with an agency or partner with a, you know, a production company, you know, you can. So I don't think it's like the end all, you know. I think the work has to speak. You know, you can't have mediocre work and then just jump on the agency and think people are gonna like, oh yeah, you know, he's there. You know, you might get 1 or 2 slip through, but, you know, you gotta. The way I say it is, you know, you might be, you know, let in the door, but you have to be good enough to stay in the room. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts of when it comes to that.
Just what were you gonna say?
No, go for it.
No,
I was gonna, just to add to what you're saying, just in terms of like representation and work. Same here. Most of the work that I've done especially in short form, is just all from, mostly, I'd say like 90% is from just people coming to me directly. And I think that really is going to be the bread and butter, I think, no matter what. And I feel like that's kind of the same across a lot of the directors that I know that are like working consistently. And but I think in film and TV, like it's like a catch-22 in a way. It's like I'm repped by CAA for film and TV, and I know for like there's no way that I could have like chased after them, or, you know, it's the kind of thing where you have to have something to have shown. And for me, it was after winning Tribeca, and then I had then options in that case. But I know it's different for people. It's different for a lot of people, and a lot of my, like, one of my good friends, like, she got signed to ICM, then CAA as a DP, just from like straight up, just from getting her camera and like taking really, really dope pictures. She traveled to like, she saved up to go to like Nepal, back to India. Like, she did basically this like voyage of pictures, and now she's represented as a DP at CAA, just because, again, the pictures were incredible. You know, you could tell that like somebody taking this, like, damn, no, they know their thing.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's the whole thing Meji talked about. You mentioned is by, you know, doing the work and let the work speak for itself.
Yeah.
And should we get one more question?
Yeah, Emil, I would love for you to speak on this too. It's like, do you guys offer opportunities for aspiring directors to shadow you on set? especially again, Emil, with your 150 videos. And if so, what advice do you guys have to kind of approach you or any of your friends that are directing?
Yeah, for sure. And I think my main advice, to know about for everyone else, may be annoying, but like when people hound me, I'm like, this person wants it. Because sometimes it's like you don't have a job and you forget and you're like, oh yeah, I think you just want to stay so on it. And I think that Instagram is or social media is such a great way to connect like with people. And like, I always see everyone who DMs me and like, you know, sometimes it'll take me a while to respond or whatever, or like, but then if someone's really on it, I'm like, yeah, they want it. And then I guess when you get on set, just, you know, I think that in this game, like, one thing I always say is hard work will get you there. You know, you got to be prepared to just dig so deep in this game, and like, because you are going to get knocked back. And it's the people who just don't really let the knockbacks affect them, and they just keep going. You know, all of these people on this call, right? Like we're all people that probably have had about 1,000 no's compared to, you know, 100 yeses or whatever it is. So yeah, I think just keep banging the doors down and then get on set and work really hard.
And also, like, I guess if you are DMing somebody, you know, and I would say like, like, you know, make sure your profile doesn't look like it's like a spam profile or something. It would be, you know, it's always good to, you know, we want to empower people who are already empowering themselves. From what he's saying, you know, you got to work hard. So when we can see that, like, yo, okay, this person's actually doing something, you know, they actually send a message that, you know, I believe them. Do you know what I mean? They're not just sending a random message, you know, and their profile's all empty, or it's just them and their dog. Like, they're actually working towards something, and we can be.
I think that's such a good point, Meji. It's like even if it's the best DOP in the world or someone who's asking to be on set, the first thing I look at is their Instagram, and if it looks a certain way, you know, that's your shop window, right? That is literally like, yeah, no, you're totally right. Like, it's the first thing you click, and if they look serious, you're like, there you go.
Yeah,
I love that. Philip, do you have anything last to say on this, and then we're gonna wrap up?
Well, I do love like on Uneasy, like in the most recent one, I had my cousin come because he was interested in filmmaking. I don't know how much he's still interested in that, like how crazy that day was. And I know throughout the day I was telling him, like, bro, it's not always like this. Like, it's not always this fast. We don't always only get one take like this. We don't, you know what I mean? Just giving him like a ton of caveats. But I mean, the shadowing, like I'm always gamed for people to come shadow. Done it a few times, and yeah, and I feel like, again, you talk about if someone's serious, like I'm really, really excited by people who are like really invested in every part of the process and are very, very hungry to learn, and that shit is contagious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think for me, when I was starting out, like in high school or before high school, really, when I was like 12, 13, and I decided I wanted to be a filmmaker, I started PAing and doing any job I could find on local sets that shot in New Orleans. But up until, I think it's the same thing about shadowing and everything. Like, I think get all of the information that you can, but there does come a certain point, right? And this is, there does come a certain point, and I found that right before, you know, right before I made my first feature, I kind of came to this kind of decision, but get everything that you need, take in all the knowledge, but there comes a certain point when you have to focus on your work, right? And you have to focus on, you know, but shadowing, I think, is super helpful in a lot of ways for you to learn everything that you want to apply to yourself and when you're on set, and things you don't. Right.
And one thing, let me just quickly interject. Sorry, Philip. I think also, you know, shadowing is one thing, but you know, like I was a runner. I've only ever really been a runner and a director. On, you know, I had freaking emailed like what Nabil on not emailed him. I hit him up on Tumblr on like the /ask, and I was like, yo, can I come on set? And he, like, you know, he brought me on set for, you know, Arctic Monkeys one shoot back in the day, you know, and I just feel like, you know, as a runner, I got to really I was speaking to everybody, you know, I was running around the set, you know, I was able to be sociable, but I was also looking at what everybody was doing. You know, I did that quite a few times. And I just felt like, okay, shadowing a director is one thing, but oftentimes, you know, on the set, you know, like you were just saying, Philip, you know, it might not be the smoothest day. It might be a little bit hectic, you know, it might not have time to talk or, you know, do all that. And you can shadow and look over the shoulder, but I think there's also other ways to get on set and to, you know, just keep your eyes open and see what everybody's doing, see how things are lit, see how the DP is moving, and, you know, have a moment with everybody as a runner, which is also a great option. I feel like, anyway.
I really do agree with that. I think that, like, anyone who's ever shadowed me, if they're just standing next to me going like, they can't do anything for me because I'm freaking out the whole time trying to work out how to get the shot. Yeah, it's like go off, and you want to get
a member of the crew.
In the art department or the lighting guard, like, or the whoever it is. You just want to get yourself in it, in the kind of thick of it.
And last thing, I guess, just to end this out, last thing, is when you're talking about like Instagram and reaching out to people. I remember, like, and I mentioned Ben Zeitlin early on when I was cutting up my first feature. Like, I sent him my own version of the trailer, being like, bro, I love your work, and it's true. Like, I saw Beast of the Southern Wild when I was in like elementary school, and I saw a special screening where he was, you know, like doing the Q&A. So I was like, bro, like, been a fan of your work, X, Y, and Z. Went a little fan, little maybe too fan. But I showed him a trailer, and I know in part the real reason that he was eager to like be a part of the process and engage with me, I think, was because he'd seen that I could put some work in already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are super excited by trains that are already moving.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Always. Yeah, I love that. That's such a good last note too. I mean, that level of enthusiasm is so important from moving from music videos to first features. You need that. Like, at the end of the day, people want to see when the wheels are already in motion. So this has been an incredible conversation. Like, I know we went over 6 minutes. I just wanna say, Janvier and I are so happy that you three are here to talk about this journey. It's such an important journey. You guys are killing it, absolutely killing it. So
Legends.
So much for being with us today. And just again, last housekeeping. Of course, if you're interested in joining Callo, finding the people that you need to develop projects, whether in the music video world or your first feature, go ahead and apply for Callo membership. We put it on the screen. And of course, for Minute Shorts, you're probably already part of the community, but go ahead and download Minute Shorts app. And join Minute Shorts Instagram. Your Callo. And thank you so much. Thank you
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep making music videos, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay blessed.
Thank you, guys.